Pull up, grab the fuel nozzle, and get ready to fuel up on trends and strategies to grow your travel center business in this episode of the Truckstops Here, brought to you by NATSO. Now, here are your hosts, Amy Toner and Darren Schulte.
Hello, welcome to today's episode of the Truckstops Here. I'm your host, Amy Toner, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Darren Schulte. Hello, Darren.
Hi, Amy.
How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good. Always good to talk to you. Okay, you are listening to the Truckstops Here, NATSO's podcast. NATSO is the National Trade Association for Truck Stops, and our mission is to advance the success of truck stops and travel centers, and this podcast is one of the many ways we do that. Today, we have the distinct pleasure of interviewing Eliote Duarte. We were lucky to have him on before to talk about NATSO's Truck Stop and Travel Center Employee Retention Guide. Hey, Elliot.
Hello, Amy. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, so at NATSO, one of the core things we do is look at trends. We're always scanning our members, the industry, their customers to see what's going on with trends. So today we're going to pick Elliot's brain and probably Darren's brain to see what's going on with the trends. And one thing I would just think is so interesting is that, you know, it's been just a weird year in the trend business. Like all these things that Darren and I have been talking about for years are happening, right? And then a lot of weird new stuff has come up. So I think we're going to talk about traffic first. So let's talk about increased traffic. What are you guys seeing?
So I'll start with that, and then I'll pass it on over to Elliot. You know, we've been the industry as a whole has been hearing about increased traffic, news, media, whatever it may be, and I'm not sure if folks really expected to see the type of traffic levels they've seen. Amy, I know you've been traveling. Elliot, you've been out and about. We're going to talk about some of the things we've seen, but the traffic is tremendous, and yeah. To the point. In many cases, our members are struggling to handle that traffic. I think some were well prepared and were doing everything they can to prepare for it, but I really believe it caught a lot of people off guard, and in a lot of different areas, which we'll kind of cover. But Elliot, what are your thoughts on what you've been seeing out there while you've been traveling about traffic?
Well, exactly that, Darren. I just came back from a 2,000-mile trip. And I was able to stop at over
2,000 miles.
Yes, it was over a week long, and the good news is there's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of business to be had. People are going to our stores, and that's good news for us. On the opposite side is we're not able to accommodate all these people the way we are set up now. I hadn't traveled like this in over 2 years now. So I almost forgot what it was like. And it was kind of like we're learning again how to travel. And I had 5 kids with me and 3 other adults, and everybody's different, right? And so we encounter a lot of opportunities that, that we can learn from.
You know, that's a really good point you make about the travel just in general, because not only are there regulars, let's call them pre-COVID-19, that were out there that were traveling, there's a lot of folks that have never been in travel centers. And like yourself, my wife and I took our grandkids up to Sedona, Grand Canyon, boom, 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 and many thousands of miles. And we ran into a lot of people that traditionally flew places. They were either in their RVs or they were in their cars. And we were shocked by the sheer number of people that we talked to where, we used to fly somewhere and then rent a car, but now we're driving. So it was a really new experience. And we're hoping, like on previous podcasts that yourself were on, or me and Amy have talked about, that our members are understanding we're getting first-time customers. And we're getting a lot of first-time customers. And the experience that they get in your stores today could very well decide if they'll stop ever there again. And at least listening to experts, they believe that the traveling public, at least for the near future, will continue to be at a very high level. So that's a good point, Elliot. There's a lot of people that are relearning how to travel.
And the scary part, Darren, is that we have a small window to make a very good impression.
Yeah.
That is to me so scary, because a new person that comes to our travel centers, just it's like taking a photograph, and that's the first thing they see. So we need to upper game, and not only upper game to where we were before COVID, because now the expectations are higher. If
Yeah.
you gotta be, your pump's gotta be spotless, and you gotta have all these hand sanitizers and different things that were not required before, but
Yeah.
now it's an expectation from the customer.
Right. That's a great point. During COVID, people were waiting for longer periods of time and were acceptable to that. But you can already tell if you're out there traveling, that's already gone. It's back to pre-COVID levels where people want to get service really quickly. And in many cases, there's a lot of folks that opened drive-throughs or did different things for their business during COVID that were relatively successful because of COVID, and everyone had patience. But man, people don't have patience anymore. And
It's funny you say that because we got Subway and someone tried to cut in front of me 2 times. It's like I kept like politely being like, the line's over there. That's so interesting.
One of the things we like to do when we visit stores is look at the number of products people get tired of waiting in lines in the old days, and they would just put it to the side. You can see, like, if you go to a Walmart or something like that, they've got big giant baskets full of stuff where people have just said, forget it, I'm not going to wait, or they can't afford it, whatever the reason. And it's funny to see that in travel centers where you go up to pay and you see all these other things that don't belong where they are. People have just said, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to wait in line and so forth. So it's quite interesting. And as Elliot referenced, there's an opportunity. So
The other thing I was
Go ahead.
go ahead, Elliot. No, I was just telling Darren, we went for the 4th and it felt so crowded in the truck stop. Because I feel like I haven't been inside in a lot of places, and truck stops are kind of like, they can be like busy places. And I have a 7-year-old, and when they're in the car and you get out, they're like, running around like crazy. And I was like, oh God, there's all these people all over. I don't know, that I think that helping guide people to where they need to go is going to be even more important.
I think you're right. Go ahead, Elliot, please.
I was gonna say, my 4-year-old, we walked into one of the travel centers, and she stopped, and I said, she's like, oh, and I was like, well, what's wrong? She's like, people.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, and we go back to the COVID, sentiments that it's very crowded. Most people are not wearing masks. Is it safe for me to be here? So you go back to that, and hopefully we're making good impressions out there, and so people can actually come back, because summer's not over yet. That was I traveled during 4th of July, so there's a lot of traveling to be had for the rest of the year, and we want to make sure that these people come back to our travel centers and our truck stops and our, I call them highway retailers, because there's a big variety of them now.
I think August is going to be a big travel month, don't you guys?
Yeah, I agree with you.
I agree.
And I would tell you, I don't to get us off track, but what you and both Amy said about the number of people and the lines, I would certainly suggest that anyone who's building a new travel center today, or if you're considering, a remodel, you really, to Amy's point, you really want to think about flow. You really want to think about the placement of registers. Your daughter's comment, there's a lot of people. I think more than ever, how you lay your store out, where you position your products, those types of things, where you position the cash registers. If you're embracing cashierless or custom, whatever we call it, checklist, cashless systems, I think are going to be more important than ever before. So,
no, you guys wanted to talk about staffing. That seems to be a hot topic with our members. Tell me more.
Yeah, Elliot, take it over on this one.
Well, we did a podcast on employee retention, right? And and now I saw it in real life. What understaffed stores look like, training, and what causes that. That what's the effects of it. So if you walk into a store that is understaffed, your trash cans are full, Your the lines to pay are long. The restrooms are dirty. The product is not stocked. In I saw people. Uh, I saw stores with only one cashier, and there was probably 10 of us online, and there was 20 people outside, and 10 people went to use the restroom. So this one cashier had to take care of all the people inside the store, and that's the biggest challenge. And if we're not able to retain these employees, they're not going to be trained properly. There's a special way to brew coffee. There's a special way to put the register paper on, so it'll actually print the paper on the pumps too. If you put it backwards, it's not going to print. So there's a lot of training involved in having the right staff, trained right, with the right mentality, that they're there to serve people. It makes a huge impact, and those operators who are able to see that and are able to overcome the staffing issues are the ones who are going to be successful in their near future.
It's really amazing. I have an example of something. I know we all know COVID's definitely impacting our industry as far as hiring people. And we understand that lots of other industries are going through it. But there are operators out there that are having good success retaining people or keeping. So in this last trip that we made up to where we were going with our grandkids, one particular grandchild wanted something that's only this particular travel center sells, and the other one wanted something from the other. And they were literally across the street. And what a difference in staffing. One process, one time, or stopping at one location, to your point, Elliot, took forever because they had so few cashiers in that location helping. Right across the street, literally right across the street, my granddaughter was able to get what she wanted, and it was an in and out process. They were relatively fully staffed. They were organized. It was easy to get in and out, and what a difference it made. So strangely enough, coming back, on the way back, my grandson didn't want to stop at the place that we had originally stopped because it took too long. He wanted to go where his sister said, no, we'll just go over there because it takes too long to get something from that other place. And so what are the observations about staffing, Elliot?
Well, generally speaking, I'm not sure if you looked around the people inside the store at that time when you were in the store with the good staffing, bad staffing. I bet you if you look at the customers in the store that is staffed right, they're going to be smiling. They're going to be shopping around, and looking around and buying all kinds of stuff. If you look at the store where there's poor staffing and the line seems to be forever, people are not in a good mood. And when you're not in a good mood, you're not in a good mood to shop. So those are some of the areas that we got to look at when we think of staffing. It's not just about having someone at the register and next and who's next, and you have enough people to go clean the restrooms. You got enough people to go change the trash outside. It was amazing because there was a trash can in one of the stores at the entrance, and people were playing Homer Simpson needs to take out the trash, right? Where the last one, they're trying to pile everything on top of the trash, and the one that falls is the one who has to take out the trash, right? And
have you been in my kitchen? It's like you can see it right now.
If it doesn't hold anymore, you have to take out the trash. It was kind of like that in some places, and it's just, we have an opportunity there, and we gotta act now on it. Like I said, there's traveling is still a year-long thing. August, and we got Christmas and Thanksgiving. There's gonna be a lot of traveling happening, and we're grateful that a lot of these people are going to be traveling in our highways and stopping in our stores and giving us a lot of business.
So what's one solution? So we kind of, on the other item that we identified about traffic, we gave a solution about, layouts and designs and future and taking a look at that. What would just one of your quick solutions to the labor issue? I mean, again, there's no magic bullet. We understand that, and we're all going through it right now. But if a travel center, an independent operator out there, one thing, what should he and she do at a minimum to at least try to help alleviate some of these labor issues, in your opinion?
Well, aside from getting the employee retention guide from NATSO, I would say be proactive. Look at your employees. Do an assessment on your employees every day. Um, see, do your 20-70-10. Who's your best employees? Who needs more training? Make him feel comfortable working for you. Make him want to work for you, rather than I have to go clock in for 8 hours and I'll get a check at the end of the week. Um, just make it fun. Make it uh, so everybody wants to come to work. And once they come to work, make sure we train them right. Make sure they know who needs to be doing what. Um, and cross train people in different areas. So if little Joe's cleans the pumps and Joe's not here today, Elliot can go and clean the pumps. There's no problem, because more people know how to do different things. Um, Take care of your employee. Um,
So the simple thing that to encapsulate that is take care of your people now, right? So
Correct.
you're not in that situation in the next pandemic, right? Struggling to hire people. So,
Exactly. And when you expect heavy traffic, you can play with the schedule a little bit. You can say, all right, on Wednesday I'm not expecting much traffic, but Thursday and Friday is going to be really heavy. So maybe schedule a little bit lighter on Wednesday and heavier on Thursday and Friday. And you know what are the times you can look at your sales data and see what times last year or the prior year people were in your store. But you know what? My 50% of my sales happen between 5 in the morning and 10 in the morning. So that's where I need to have heavier staffing, or even prior to that, so they can prep the food. Maybe they can bag the ice, or do the things that need to happen. So when the customer shows up, we're not trying to um, cover the hole now. We're already being prepared, and we have everything the customers need.
got it. Well, one last thing I want to talk about that I've noticed and get your feedback. So, in closing, is like the number of out of stocks and everything that people are experiencing. I would just share a quick comment and then the solution. So it's shocking the sheer number of out of stocks that I'm seeing when I'm traveling. But we're all aware, and we've read and heard so many times about the issues of the supply chains. Everyone's having supply chains issues. So the solution I would say that I would share with members is now is the time to start preparing for the future. Now is the time to get with your vendors and really analyze the types of products you're carrying. Now is the time, as an example, to go through your cooler with your soda vendors and your beer vendors and your water vendors and really identify what's selling and not. And now is the time to do SKU rationalization, not wait for it. Because again, I'm a big believer. I said this last year during COVID, and I'll say it even for 2023. I think, at least for the foreseeable future, our stores and the travel centers are going to be as busy or busier than they've ever been before. And if you're not identifying the out of stock issues today, and some of them are not your fault because the vendors don't have the product. But my solution to you is get with your vendors, work with them now, do SKU rationalization now in your stores. Make sure your stores have plenty of the items that sell. Don't be frightened to have 10 facings of Coke Zero if Coke Zero is selling, or 15 faces of Mountain Dew if Mountain Dew is selling that much. Because if you just listened to the national news last night, that's what grocery stores are doing. They're stocking up and making more faces of the products that they're selling every day. They're getting rid of the stuff that's sold occasionally. So would be an issue. Out of stocks, they're horrific right now. Solution is get with your vendors, work with your vendor partners, and start working on getting that fixed for the future.
I agree, Darren. And I would take an even a small step further. Is all right. Do you have room for a bulk stack? And I was reviewing a store, and this store had 15 bulk stacks of different sodas and waters and different things, but was out of Monster. And I said, well, why don't you have take out one of the water ball stacks that you have plenty of, and use it for Monster? And from there, that's your inventory. You can load your cooler from that ball stock too. They did that and have had great success and not ran out of Monster. And like you said, multiple facings. And another area too is, all right, we're in July. Christmas is around the corner. Are we preparing ahead? Santa Claus is coming December.
Right.
So are you already preparing ahead for what's coming next? You already have coffees and cappuccinos that are you going to want to sell in December, November, January. Start preparing from now. So when you get in that list of we only have 10 of these, you're already there, and you get priority over other people that didn't prepare.
You're spot on. There's a lot of opportunity, even in those smallest stores, to get rid of trade downs and get rid of redundant product and bring more of the stuff in that sells. So with that, Elliot, I thank you.
It sounds like we need to do another podcast on holiday prep.
I think we should.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Elliot. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
And
have a great day.
Yep. Thanks for listening to the Truck Stops here. You can find us online at natso.com/podcast. If you have any questions, if you have any holiday prep questions, send it to me at editor@natso.com. Hi, gentlemen.
Bye.
Bye.
The Truck Stops here was brought to you by NATSO, the association representing truck stops and travel centers. Visit natso.com for more information. The Truck Stops here is produced by NATSO in collaboration with Human Factor. Producers are Amy Toner and Darren Schulte.